This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hello and welcome to the second episode of my scrap fabric series, where instead of buying new fabric, I'm working entirely with leftovers from last projects. And today is finally the day I start my Ruby vest. I have a slightly complicated history with vests. I've made two before using different patterns, and both times something went wrong. Either I struggled the whole way through, or the final fit just wasn't right. So I'm coming into this one helpful and a little cautious. But we're trying again, that's the point. One thing that I will always defend on this channel is that making mistakes is perfectly normal, but we have to keep going and learn from them. I won't learn anything by imagining something will turn out perfect the first time. So my philosophy is to keep going even if the result isn't perfect. For the design, I want to keep it playful and intuitive. Instead of following a strict patchwork layout, I'm going to mix my scraps more freely and see what happens. Because the composition might lean a little chaotic, I'll stick to softer, muted tones and avoid anything too bright or too dark, just to keep it feeling cohesive. I'm also thinking of making it reversible since the pattern allows for that. One side would be patchwork and the other in shepherd fabric. I still have some leftover white shepherd from a previous project, though I'm not completely sure it will be enough. If I don't have enough, I have this thrifted shepherd fleece that has been waiting for a second life. It would feel really satisfying to use it all up. I also have this bedsheet to layer with the batting. For the patchwork side, I'm taking inspiration from this tablet cover I made a while ago. I love how the different blocks come together, it looks playful and freeing. There's less pressure to make everything perfectly match. I actually still have some of the same fabric scraps from that project, so I might lean into that color palette again. It feels like continuing a story. The only thing I bought specifically for this project is the bias binding. I came across this beautiful floral one and couldn't resist. I think it will add such a soft, charming touch to the vest and gently tie everything together. I will start by making a mock with the bedsheet to see if I chose the right size. The pattern gives you quite a bit of freedom with shape and length, so I spent a moment deciding whether to go cropped or full length. As tempting as a shorter version is, I want this to be a proper winter vest, something I can layer over thick sweaters and actually feel warm in. So full length makes more sense, especially to keep my lower back cozy. I can always make a cropped one for spring or summer. Now that I've settled on the size and length, I'm going to sketch out a loose plan for the patchwork blocks and see how I want to arrange them. But before we get into that, I want to quickly thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. I've been using Squarespace to build my personal website and the process has felt so simple. When I was at university, I had a blog I coded myself, and every time I wanted to change the layout or try a new format, I'd spend hours digging through code, usually losing my mind over one tiny misplaced comma. With Squarespace, it feels completely different. You can design and adjust your site in just a few clicks without any technical stress. It feels creative instead of frustrating, which makes such a difference. Plus, with built-in tools for email newsletters, online shops, and SEO, it's really approachable if you want to share or sell your work online. If you've been thinking about creating a website, you can try Squarespace for free at squarespace.com. And when you're ready, go to squarespace/estelsogo to save 10% of your first website or domain using the code estelsogo. Fabric feels gentle in our hands, but there's a whole story behind how it got there. Each little piece once asked for water, energy, time, and someone's careful work. For me, keeping scraps isn't only about trying to be frugal, it's more about respect and curiosity, slowing down for a moment before buying something new and asking, what could this become? A single scrap doesn't change much on its own. Neither does one small action, one quiet effort, one person trying their best. But when scraps are stitched together, they begin to support each other. They create warmth where there was once just pieces. I think life works like that too. We are all a little uneven, a little mismatched, carrying our own histories. On our own, we might feel small, but together, layered with care, patience, and intention, we become something stronger and more beautiful than we expected. That was terrible for my back, but I had a lot of fun and I'm so excited to start sewing the pieces together. Now that the patchwork panels are finished, it's time to turn it into actual pattern pieces. I'm laying my ruby vest pattern on top and carefully cutting out the front and back, and the same with the batting. This is much easier to cut all together since I have an electric cutter. I'm going to carefully pin these 3 layers together so I can quilt them by hand after dinner. Morning! Yesterday I finished quilting the patchwork side, just adding stitches here and there to hold everything together. Today I need to choose the shepherd fabric for the other side. I first laid the pattern over the white shepherd I had left, really hoping it would fit, but there isn't just enough. I could make it cropped and squeeze it out, but since this is meant to be a winter vest, I wanted to properly cover my kidneys and feel warm. Then I realized the brown shepherd fleece has these pockets I could reuse, and that made me very happy. Although I can't believe how badly made they are. Nothing is aligned, the stitching is messy, and the fabric itself feels unpleasant to the touch. It feels rushed and unloved. I can't help thinking about how many fast fashion garments are probably constructed like this, especially in the hidden layers no one sees. If I were sewing all day under pressure for little pay, I imagine my work would look the same. So I unpicked everything and I will change the pockets lining and make them slowly and with care. Once both sides are cut, I sew the underarm seam separately, so each side becomes its own little vest. Then I place them wrong sides together and start pinning all around the edges. It suddenly feels very real at this stage, it's like it's a few steps away from being wearable. Now I have to make a seam at the shoulders. I decided the patchwork side will act as the lining because the shoulder seam will be exposed and finished with bias binding, and that would look weird on the shepherd side. I finished the shoulder bias binding by hand, and now I'm going to add it around the armholes and all along the edges. I originally planned to machine stitch it into the shepherd side and then hand stitch it invisibly onto the patchwork side. But this bias is so thick. I hand stitched it at the shoulders and my poor fingers were not happy. So I changed plans. I'm not the best at top stitching, but with brown thread in the bobbin and by carefully rolling the bias inward, I can get a clean line on the patchwork side and almost invisible stitches on the shepherd side. The fluff will hide everything, I hope. This is the neatest bias binding I've ever done. I'm super proud of it. Now I have to add the buttons and I will be done. But nothing is as easy as it sounds. I had my buttons chosen, but apparently my machine doesn't want to make buttonholes with so many layers. So I tried making them by hand and it was horrendous. For now, I patched the buttonhole and I'm not sure how to make it look good on both sides. I tried finding the same snaps the creator of the pattern uses, but I had no luck. So please help me decide, should I leave it without buttons or find an alternative to them? This project has really been a journey. I loved creating the patchwork fabric. I'm so happy I saved those pockets, and the bias binding might be my favorite detail of all. The only thing is, I think it fits a little big. I chose my usual size, but I should have remembered that Sydney's patterns tend to run large on me. Still, I'd rather it be oversized than too small. Bodies change and this way it might stay with me longer. I really enjoyed this pattern and I'm already thinking about making a lighter cropped version for warm weather. Thank you so much for being here for this second episode of my scrap series. If you'd like to support this channel and help me creating these recycling projects, there's a little membership link below. But interacting with this video would also help a lot. For my next project using scraps, I want to make a cover for my sewing machine. I hope I will see you there too. Adeu!